Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Pranzata Podcast. This is your host, Andrea Pranzatelli. This is episode number 173 on the Pranzata Podcast here on YouTube. Last week's podcast episode was a full hour devoted entirely to fitness and how to completely transform your physique, because I am currently undergoing a fitness transformation myself. Today's episode is going to be entirely devoted to a financial transformation that I am currently undergoing as well. Everything I have been learning along the way, and I am going to be sharing the wisdom I have gained from many financial mistakes I have made in the past and things I am currently doing to fix my financial situation in the present and the future going forward. Also, quick side note to my regular podcast listeners, today I am sitting on my couch with the city view in the back. I live in Philadelphia for the new listeners. It happens to be a very gorgeous day. It is May 7th, I want to say, when I'm recording this, and the weather has been getting absolutely beautiful. So I don't normally sit on my couch with the window in the back here, but I just thought since I'm doing a solo episode and I don't have a guest to interview, it might be fun for you guys to take a look at the city view in the back. And what's also interesting is that as I'm filming this, it's about 7:05 p.m. So that means if this episode lasts an hour or longer, you guys will actually see the sun setting back there, which will be pretty cool to see it start light and then get darker as the episode goes along. But okay, finances. So as I said earlier in the episode, just like I'm doing a total body fitness transformation, I am also doing a total financial transformation in my life. People who have listened to this podcast for a long time, or, friends and family who listen to this, know that finances have been a struggle for me since I was pretty young. And I'm not going to get too much into the details of why that is, but long story short, just so you have some brief background about why I'm doing this video and why I'm transforming my finances, I had made some what I now understand are poor financial decisions when I was very young, around the age 22, 23. I had some major health issues and injuries that resulted in me not being able to work for some time. I want to say for about a year, I couldn't do the normal physical labor that I was doing as a waitress. All of this snowballed into, I am now 37 years old. This is 10 years later, and I am still suffering the consequences of having made some poor financial decisions then, and then having health issues and emergencies that happened that made it impossible for me to dig out of that financial hole. So I'm going to get right into the things that I did wrong and the things that I'm currently doing, and I wrote down 6 points for you guys. So number one, knowing what I know now, and this is going to trigger some older people who advise the younger people to do this, or some younger people who are currently doing this. Number one, knowing what I know now, I would never advise anybody to go to college if they cannot pay for it. Meaning, I would never advise anybody to take out a student loan to pay for college. Before people get upset about that, just know that that's not going to be true for every single circumstance. I'm going to explain all the details. So I think one of the biggest financial mistakes somebody could make today is going to college if they have no way to pay that money back, or if it's not paid for to begin with. The cost of college, and when I said earlier, some maybe older people, boomer generations or older, might get upset to hear that, is because they're seeing it from a perspective when in their age, college made a lot of sense because the job market was different. We didn't have AI competing. Also, college was a little bit different back then. It wasn't so much that nowadays everybody goes to college. It was you had a special talent, you had a special gift, you tried out all these different colleges, and they would only accept the best of the best. Now, college is, anybody can get into college now, so everything is different. The whole job market, college is a totally different game today. Back then, it made sense to go to college for the reasons I discussed, Plus, you can get a 4-year degree back then in I don't know the exact numbers, but I want to say probably around $20,000 to $30,000. You could get a 4-year degree, maybe even cheaper, maybe even $15,000. When the boomer generation was going to college. Nowadays, on average, it can cost anywhere between $80,000 to $150,000 and even $200,000 to $300,000 to go to a 4-year college, depending on what college you go to and what your degree is. But even at the college I went to, and I don't mind disclosing, where I went to. I went to Kane University of New Jersey, and even my college costed me $100,000 for 4 years. And my college wasn't considered like this Ivy League, it's not Ivy League, and it's not considered a notable college in any way. And it still costed a lot of money. Now, let me explain the details. I've learned from my mistakes, and I feel like it feels wrong to not share this wisdom to the younger generation or older generation who is considering going to college, knowing what I know now. I feel like I want to help somebody potentially avoid getting into the same mistakes that I got into. Okay, as I said earlier, if you can afford to go to college, meaning you come from a family in which your parents are planning to pay for your college up front, if you're an older person who has saved up enough money to go to college and spending the savings to go to college won't hurt your finances in any way, you still have emergency plan savings, that sort of thing, then yes, going to college could be a good idea if you believe that the return on investment is going to be good. So even in those circumstances, even in the circumstances in which college is paid for and you're going to go, it's still a wise thing to make sure that the degree you're choosing has a good likelihood of making you money back after going. I suppose if the college is already paid for by your parents or you're dipping into savings that you already have, it won't necessarily hurt to get a degree that doesn't make you money in the long run. But why go through all the trouble of going to college, period, and waste all that time and dedication doing that if it's not something that's going to pay off for your work and dedication, even if it's paid for? Now, for the people who cannot afford to go to college, just a little background on what I did. So I have a bachelor's degree in music, and I am currently a piano teacher. I have my piano here for aesthetic in this video. This is not a large piano. This is literally a 5-pound piano, but I love it. I'm able to use it when I'm doing virtual lessons and when I go on vacations and that sort of thing. I don't regret being a piano teacher. Oddly enough, I never thought I would say this, but I don't feel afraid of AI. I have, for whatever reason, there is just an influx of new piano students, and a lot of them are adult learners who, for whatever reason, they're like, hey, I turned 30, I turned 35, and I've always wanted to learn piano. Now feels like the right time. And a lot of them tell me, I tried an online course, I tried an app, and it just isn't working. I need a real person to do this. So my field is fine. I love being a piano teacher, and I feel hopeful that it's a field that I could sustain for some time. If anything, I don't think a robot could replace me anytime soon. What I do think could happen is AI could create music that will then make people not want to learn piano because they might figure, what the heck's the point? If AI music exists, I don't need to learn how to create music. That's a potential possibility in the future that could make it difficult for me to make money long term. But in the short term, at least for the next 5 to 10 years, I don't see that happening, and I'm feeling pretty secure in this career. However, I didn't need to take out $100,000 of student loans in order to be a piano teacher. That's crazy. That was a terrible idea, and I would never advise anybody to ever do that. Reason being is when you take out student loans, a lot of people are uneducated about this when they take them out when they are in their young 20s. And by the way, that's why a lot of people would actually consider student loans to be predatory loans, because people who are 22, 23 years old, they're not smart enough to make major financial decisions at this point. And, you know, in my situation, I came from a background where, you know, my mom's not in the picture, so I don't have that guidance from my mother. My dad's in the picture, but I think, no offense to my dad if he's listening, but I don't think he was necessarily well educated on finances and government student loans. It just wasn't his thing, you know, so I was kind of self-taught, I guess you could say. And at age 22, 23, I was more interested in going out with my friends. Like I wasn't researching on the long-term implications of student loans. So that's why a lot of people would consider student loans to be predatory, because a lot of young people make these decisions to take out thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, not understanding that there is no escaping these things. As of now, there is no escaping student loan debt. You are stuck with student loan debt. You cannot file a bankruptcy. I think there's like very rare cases in which you can file a bankruptcy for student loans. I mean, it has to be a pretty, like, you have to lose a leg or something, you know what I mean? There has to be real proof in a court that you can't work anymore. But for the majority of people, it doesn't matter if you have an illness. It doesn't even matter if you have cancer. You are stuck with your student loans. For that reason, I would never advise anybody to take out debt that they can't guarantee to be able to pay back, at least not at those numbers. If I could do it again, I wouldn't not be a piano teacher, but I would have. There's a couple paths I would have taken. I could have considered taking if I wanted to redo things, and can't redo things. It's too late. I've already dug my grave, but I'm just offering this advice to other people. I would have either one, only gotten an associate's degree in music and paid it out of pocket, so I was not in debt. Or two, I would have gone to a good university and taken non-matriculated classes only for what I needed to get the education of becoming a good pianist. Because here's the thing, I got a great education in college in the music department, and I can't honestly say I would be the pianist I am today if I didn't have the guidance of really great pianists. Shout out to Dr. Martha Marchena. She's an amazing piano player, was an amazing professor, and I would not be the pianist I was today if I did not have her guidance. I wouldn't be the teacher I am today if I did not have her guidance. I didn't need to take out 100,000 student loan debt to get that guidance. I could have just gone to the university, said, "Hey, I'm a non-matriculated student. I want the guidance of one of the greatest professors here," and I could have avoided all the science classes I didn't need, the math classes I didn't need, the English classes I didn't need. So hear me out. I'm not shitting on education. Education by qualified people is wonderful. But the entire thing, like what the hell did I need to learn sports? Like I had to take a physical class. Like I had to take a physical class that had nothing to do with, what the hell did I need to learn English? What the hell did I need to learn math and psychology to be a piano teacher? I didn't need to do all that. So again, I'm not saying don't go to college. If you can get it paid for, great. It's a good idea. You get an education. It might pay off. It will pay off for your skills for sure. And maybe if you get lucky, you can get a job. But if you have to take this out of your pocket, possibly in some rare circumstances, if you want to go in a field that will give you a great return on investment, let's say you want to go in medicine. And even that, I don't know the research on that nowadays. There might be, I don't know the reason. I can't really speak on medicine, but what I'm saying is, even with degrees that used to be something that had a good return on investment, I don't know how those degrees compete in the job market today with AI. I think people in the medical field are still being hired from what I understand. But before I get too sidetracked, what I'm saying here is the only circumstances in which I would advise somebody to take out that much student loan debt is if they really have a good reason to believe they will make the money back, if they get into a degree that will make that money back. So moving along, I'm obviously very passionate about that one. I've already dug my grave on student loans. There's nothing I can do now unless the law changes in which student loan debt gets forgiven, or I just find a financial plan to pay off my student loan debt. So, and that's where we're going next. What are some of the things I've done in order to start saving money? And crazy, I've been making some financial changes over the past few months that I should have been making a long time ago, because like magic, money has just been showing up in my account like crazy in numbers that I didn't, and I'm not going to give numbers, but let's just put it this way. There's the amount of savings I'm making now are 8 times the amount than I was just a few months ago on these changes. Okay, so point number 2. Point number 1 was college and my views on college. Point number 2, get rid of Amazon or anything like it. So if you're not an Amazon user, you're a Temu user. Basically, any type of app in which you can have instant access to things you want to buy and you use it frequently, get rid of it now, immediately. So I took a hard look at my bank statements the past few months, and I was tracking, and that's another thing, I didn't put it on the points, but side note, start tracking your spending so you can actually see what you're spending on everything and realize how much money could potentially be thrown out the window. A couple months ago, I checked my bank statements and I had spent $900 on Amazon in 1 month. And for somebody who's complaining that they can't pay their student loan bill, that's obviously a terrible idea. Now, here's the thing. I didn't even realize I was spending that much on Amazon because, and that's the thing, all these small purchases, and we're getting get into more of potential small purchases in my later points. All these small purchases, you really don't realize how much they add up until you actually look at them. On Amazon, everything is so cheap. So, for example, let's say I see a pair of yoga pants. If I go to the store, a pair of yoga pants could easily be $40-$50. On Amazon, you can get a pair of yoga pants for like $12 to $15. Compared to the store, that's a big difference. So psychologically, I feel like I'm making a smart decision. I'm saving my money. The problem is, because of that easy, instant access to everything you want, everything you need, everything tailored to your exact desires, you don't realize how many of these purchases you're actually making throughout the week. So you might say, oh, a pair of yoga pants here. Oh, I need a bra to match it. The bra's only $4. Oh, okay, my cats need a new toy. Oh, they make this toy. It's so cheap. Why don't I just buy a pack of 12? Oh, they make this sports bra in every single color. Well, I'm going to need that. And you think you're only spending $5. At the end of the month, this added up to $900 for me. So once I had that realization, I was like, I am done with Amazon. Or for people listening, if they don't use Amazon, whatever your instant gratification shopping app of choice is, Temu, I don't even know what the other ones are, Etsy, those types of things. I don't know. Etsy actually is I think Etsy is a little more moral than Amazon and Temu because it uses, from what I understand, small business owners. But either way, it's still, in my opinion, if you're a broke person, get rid of it anyways. It's not even about the moral thing at this point. It's just about the instant access to the things you want at a good price. Okay, point number 3. Delete all your subscriptions. This is another thing that, again, going on small purchases, a subscription here, $8 here, $10 here, $7 here. I'm trying to think of some of the subscriptions that I had. I was subscribed to Netflix. I was subscribed to Disney Plus, YouTube Premium, Spotify, Amazon Prime. Probably a lot more, but I didn't write them down, so I'm not going to bore you guys. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of different potential subscription fees. People have access to, if you want to watch a TV show, you got to get this one. You got to get Hulu. You got to get HBO. You can't get it all in one package. You got to get all these different subscriptions. Again, this is another thing. I sat down and I looked at my bank statements, and I was spending easily $200 a month on all these separate subscriptions. And I really sat down and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I need to fix my finances. I don't really actually need a single one of these subscriptions. I deal with the ads on YouTube. I don't watch TV anymore. And I know that's going to be depressing for some people, but the reality is, if you are in a situation in which you have a lot of debt that you need to pay off, like myself, I need to find a path to pay off my student loan debt. I really don't need to be watching TV. There are other ways in which I can entertain myself for free. Luckily for me, I happen to be somebody who likes YouTube a lot. I am a YouTuber myself. I listen to a lot of podcasts on YouTube. I watch a lot of different YouTube channels, so I can get away with entertaining myself solely with YouTube and not with Netflix and that sort of thing. I guess if you're somebody who absolutely has to watch movies, the sacrifice that you could make is, instead of having 5 or 6 different HBO, Netflix, etc. type of subscriptions, you can figure out which one is the one that you prioritize the most and just dwindle it down to the one only, at least for now, until your financial situation is looking better. Side note, I should have said in the beginning, all these strict financial changes don't have to be completely long term. They're just to dig yourself out of a situation that seems helpless and seems hopeless, and realize that actually there is a lot more you can be doing to get yourself into a better financial situation. It's just going to take making some sacrifices right now in order to have a better future. And that's the truth for anything. Like, even in my last podcast episode, I talked about fitness. I was able to transform my body in just a few months, not completely to my goal, but I made a very big change in my physical appearance in just 5 months. And I was only able to do that by making sacrifices, sacrificing the foods I wanted to eat, sacrificing my time, sacrificing getting to sleep in a little bit longer and having to get up early. So there's really no difference here. These sacrifices need to be made, at least temporarily, for some time. And, whatever your plan is, it could be a year, could be 6 months, could be 2 years. Whatever the case is, the sacrifices need to be made so that you could have a better future. And in my opinion, only beautiful things can be created with the necessary sacrifices. And the best things can be created with the necessary sacrifices. So it's definitely a lesson learned in sacrifices. But before I get too sidetracked with that, to reiterate, my point number 3 was delete subscriptions, as many as possible. I personally deleted every single subscription that I have. I kept one. I did keep my video editing subscription because I have to do that for YouTube. If I want to continue putting these videos out, I need my Adobe subscription. But I've deleted everything else. I've even deleted Spotify because that might make people feel a certain way, because it's like, what the hell, you're a musician? I literally can find music on YouTube, and I don't pay for the YouTube premium. I have free YouTube. Yes, you have to deal with commercials sometimes. Luckily, with songs, you get the commercial in the very beginning, and then they play the whole song through. The only time the commercial will interrupt is like an hour-long podcast episode, and I'm totally fine with that. I can be cool with that. Okay. Point number 4. This is a good one. This one has really been helping me a lot. Every time you think you need a purchase, stop and ask yourself if you truly actually need it, or if it's just something you want. And if you don't truly need it to survive, don't get it. So I'm going to give an example. Okay, example in my personal life. I went to my sister's house a few weeks ago, and when I was there, I didn't pack anything to sleep in. And I said, do you have anything I could wear to sleep in? I forgot to bring pajamas. So she lets me borrow these pajamas that were beautiful. They were pink. They were silky. I felt gorgeous in them. I felt cute in them. And I really wanted them. And this is when I had the Amazon app. I was looking for them on Amazon, but I didn't buy them, because I stopped and I asked myself, I said, wait a second. When I really think about it, do I actually need pajamas? And that might seem crazy to some people. They might think, of course you need pajamas. Everyone needs to sleep. I sleep naked most of the time. When I go to bed, I start by sleeping in my underwear, and then I end up completely naked. And in the winter, I'll probably just put on a sweater that I would wear. Like, I would either put on a sweatshirt that I would wear to the gym or a big pair of shorts that I would wear to the gym. Why do I need a special silk pink pajamas? I don't need that. If I have comfortable clothes that I would lounge around the house in, and I'm going to just end up taking them off in my sleep anyways and sleep naked, why do I need a special pair of pajamas that cost $20? Okay. Now that's for me. Some people out there might need pajamas for whatever reason. But for me personally, because of my sleeping habits, I don't actually need pajamas. So now whenever I think I need to buy something, I really ask myself, do I actually need this for survival? Because here's the thing, humans are extremely adaptable. All the things that we really think we need now, we only think we need them because we've adapted to a modern society that tells us we need them. But if for some reason there was a catastrophe and we had to run out the house with a bag full of 10 to 20 items max, you'd be surprised like what people could actually adapt to. Or if you go on vacation, right? You ever notice you go on vacation, you pack the things you need, and all of a sudden you don't have any of the things you have at home, and somehow you're doing just fine. A lot of the things we need, we don't actually need. And yeah, I could go on a long time about this, so I'm not going to get too sidetracked with that. But to finalize that so we can get to the next one, to reiterate, actually ask yourself if you need something before you purchase it, because you would be really surprised of the things you could live without. Okay, next point number 5. Now this one may be geared towards women specifically, but nowadays because of the looks maxing trend, it could actually be geared towards men as well. Beauty regimen. I highly recommend women or men to dumb down their beauty regimen to a very basic regimen. So, and the reason I say that is because and this kind of goes into point 4, you don't actually need the things you need to survive. I could have actually put this with that, but it's okay. We're already here. Nowadays, a lot of women think that they need a lot of things to be beautiful. The standard now, not even just the luxurious thing, I would say the luxurious thing might be somebody who gets a facelift or a BBL or something like that, or a boob job. Those are things that people, spend a lot more money on. But now the basic thing that is considered standard normal beauty for women would be have your nails done, have your toenails done, have your eyebrows done, have your Botox done, have your facial filler, dermal fillers done, have your hair done, dyed a different color, have fake eyelashes, and have lip injections. So a lot of modern women won't go without that. And a lot of these women can't afford that. A lot of these women are paying for these things on a payment plan. I highly advise people, and this goes for men too, if you're doing all these different looks maxing trends, and if you're buying different supplements and different peptides and doing different things to your beauty. I don't know what goes on there, so I can only speak for women on this one. Right now, my beauty routine is every day I put on either sunscreen, a low SPF sunscreen if I know I'm going to be outside for a long time to protect my skin from wrinkling more, because I didn't wear sunscreen when I was younger and I had premature wrinkles from that. But I put on SPF 15 sunscreen on my face. I put on cocoa butter, which is very cheap and it lasts forever. And for makeup, I pencil in my eyebrows with cheap pencil. I wear cheap mascara, and that's it. Eyebrow pencil, mascara, a little bit of face cream. That's it. I don't get my nails done. My hair is done, but it's a single process color. And that's it. That's the other thing too, by the way. If you absolutely can't stand your grays and you want to cover up your grays and you want to get color, if you're broke and you need a savings plan to pay off debt or to save money for the future, don't be getting blonde highlights, because blonde highlights can easily cost $300 in a session, and they wear out really quickly, and you have to get them touched up every few months. It's a lot of maintenance. It's a lot of money. these are the kinds of decisions we need to consider if we're trying to save money and pay off debt. If you absolutely need to cover your grays, get a single process color. Right now I'm wearing a very dark brown. It's almost black. And by the way, that is my natural hair color. My natural hair color is brown, almost black, but I am getting older and I have some grays that I'm covering. This cost $80 and it lasts 6 months and I don't have to get it touched up again. Sometimes if your grays are really bad, you need to get your grays done every month, but mine aren't that bad. I just have a few sprinkled here and there. So I get it done for $80 and it literally lasts me 6 months until my hair grows long enough that the difference becomes obvious and then I have to do it again. That's a lot different than going for $300 and then having to get it touched up for $180 to $100 every few months. So, live within your means. But going back to the beauty regimen, all those extra things you don't need. You don't need Botox, or at least not right now. It might be something you want one day, but in the meantime, if you're struggling financially, you need to cut all of that out. And again, going back to sacrifices, make the sacrifice of learning to love yourself at a more basic level of beauty until you can afford to do things a little extra. For example, with me, right? I do have some insecurities about my appearance. And one of them is that I'm an aging woman. I'm 37. I'm going to be 38 in May, and it is May. So in a few weeks, I'm going to be 38. And I'm insecure about the fact that I'm wrinkling. You know what I mean? You might not be able to see it in this lighting because I have bright lights on me. But out in the sun where the lighting is unforgiving and you have all that sunlight that exposes everything, I'm getting wrinkles and I'm not happy about it. Here's the thing. If I had a lot of money, I could just run and get Botox and it would be like I was young again. And it would be like if I never had any wrinkles. But one of the cool things about putting that stuff off until you have enough money for it is I'm actually learning the wisdom of accepting getting older. I don't like it. It's really difficult, but it's a lesson that women used to learn a long time ago before they had instant access to all these beauty modalities. Women had to just accept aging and it was difficult, but they got through it and they became a better, more confident person as a result. Now, I almost feel bad for people who have so much money that they're able to fix every insecurity they have because they never learn to just accept aging and to find beauty in aging and to find beauty in their changing face. So that was a bit of a side tangent there, but all of that to say, you don't need all these extra beauty routines right now. Keep it very basic. You can still look very beautiful at a very basic beauty routine. I'm a big believer in fitness and nutrition. And again, if we're talking about finances, I should have said this earlier. If you're going to choose a gym for fitness, choose a gym you could afford. I go to Planet Fitness. It's $10 a month for the basic membership, $25 a month for the black card membership if you want to go in the back and get the massage and the red light therapy, that sort of thing. It's cheap. Don't be joining Lifetime Fitness for $200 a month. I've made that mistake, by the way. Lifetime Fitness is amazing. You have everything you need there. You can literally live in there. They have, the bathrooms are amazing. You can just, I liked that gym just for the bathroom. But here's the thing. If you're in debt and you need to save money, go to Planet Fitness. I had a friend recently tell me, I don't go to Planet Fitness because it's the Walmart crowd. Well, I guess I'm the Walmart crowd and I have to just accept that. Planet Fitness has squat racks now. They have everything I need. I'm getting in great shape there. It's ugly. There is the quote unquote Walmart crowd there. There's weird people there. But you know what? There's also really good people there. There's also elite athletes there who are doing exactly what I'm doing, that are just trying to do the best thing they can with their finances. Yes, the colors are ugly. It's like purple and yellow. It's disgusting. But they've got great equipment. They have great people working there. It's awesome. I love my Planet Fitness, but that was another side tangent. Back on track to what I was saying. My basic beauty regimen is eating healthy, going to the gym for an affordable price, and doing very basic things to protect my skin from aging further, and just a few tweaks, adding some eyebrows and adding some mascara. That's it. And if I want to paint, I don't paint my nails because I'm a piano player. So even just like the little bit of paint coating affects my piano playing negatively. But when I want to get a pedicure, I just do it myself. I buy a $6 color at CVS and I do it myself. And I have a boyfriend. I've had plenty of male attention in the past with my done myself toenails and I've never had a guy complain about me not having my nails done. If anything, it actually made me stand out in a weird way to not have my nails done and to keep things a little more natural. I promise you, to the women out there, if you're struggling with money, you don't need all that right now. You can love yourself and build confidence and find a way to have a beauty routine at a very affordable price. Same for the men out there. I can't speak on what men do these days in the looks maxing communities to make themselves better. But whatever you do, keep it simple. It should be easier for guys to keep it simple. Eat healthy, go to an affordable gym, and get a good haircut once in a while. And that's it. So definitely make the sacrifice in the short term with the beauty stuff, because it can get crazy, especially for the woman. Doing all that beauty stuff could easily cost you $400, $500 a month to upkeep with like the eyebrow microblading and the fake eyelashes. And, you know, it's beautiful. Like it's a sexy look. Like a lot of the women these days, I feel like, wow, they look pornographically hot. They look amazing. But the thing is, we all know it's not real. And it's, I don't know, there's something kind of sexy and elegant about natural beauty as well. So I think it's pretty cool to keep it simple and embrace your natural beauty and not waste all that money. Okay, next. Okay, this one I should have said earlier, but this is an obvious one. If you make less than $60,000 a year, you should be aiming to cook all of your own food as much as possible. As of now, I do not go out to eat. I cook all of my own food. And hear me out on this one, because a lot of people out there might be thinking I'm deprived, I don't have any fun. I love cooking. I'm having so much fun doing it. My boyfriend and we cook a lot together. And at the end of our meals, we always say, this actually tastes so much better than a restaurant. And it's so much cheaper, and we have so much fun doing it. Why are we going to waste our money going to restaurants anymore? If you're suffering financially, the restaurants these days are crazy expensive. You can't even go to Burger King or McDonald's anymore without spending at least $18. My boyfriend and I were joking. We went to this Jersey diner, and when I was younger, the Jersey diner was a place you could go to get gravy fries or pizza fries in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. for like $4. We decided to have a Jersey diner adventure together a few months ago before I was making these financial cuts in my life. I got potato skins at the Jersey diner, and he got French onion soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. Our meal together costed $45 without the tip, and then we had to add the tip on it. And my potato skins were disgusting. They literally used Cheese Whiz. They didn't even use cheese. They used Cheese Whiz on the potato skins. That meal, when I was a teenager, used to cost $12. Or maybe, because he had the grilled cheese sandwich, maybe 18. It was very cheap. That's what the diner was for. But nowadays, you can't even go to the diner for less than $45 and get dog food for less than $20. You have to spend $45 to $50 just to get diner food now. So if you're somebody who struggles financially, stop doing that. And for the love of God, do not order DoorDash. If you absolutely have to go out to eat because you're somebody who it's just a passion for you, actually get out and do it yourself and make a plan where you're like, okay, I'm going to only go once a week or go bi-weekly, something that I could afford in my budget. But if you do it, do not use DoorDash. DoorDash charges twice the price of if you just went out yourself to get it. And it's never even good when it gets there, because by the time it gets there, it's always cold. So DoorDash is a huge waste of money. Don't do that. But in general, I'm being very strict and very rigid on this right now. I am not going out to eat, period. I am cooking every single meal, and I am making sure I have time. I wake up very early. I'm an early bird. I wake up like 4 a.m., sometimes 4:30 or 5 a.m. These days. I make sure my food is cooked and I have it for the day, and I'm good to go. But again, side note, all of this is temporary. It's just to dig yourself out of a financial hole and save money. It is just a temporary sacrifice. There will be a time in which I squeeze going out to eat in my budget again, because I am very passionate about food and I love food. But for the time being, and I want to say that my current plan is to be this strict and this rigid for about a year. That would be my goal. And then after a year of saving money, I want to start loosening up again. And when I'm ready to loosen up, I'm not just going to go for it and start spending like crazy again. I'm going to make very conscious decisions about what I want to add back in my life. So for example, if I do start going out to eat again, I might say, okay, in my budget, I think I want to treat myself going out to eat twice a month. That might be something I start with, or once a week. Coffee, and another thing before I get to the next point, don't go out for coffee anymore. That's just, again, in the future, it might be something that you could do once a week in your budget, but going out to coffee is just another one of those small purchases that really add up in a ridiculous way. Going out for especially if you get like a latte or something, you might be able to get a coffee with milk and cream, or a coffee with oat milk and cream for less than $5 at a Starbucks or something like that. But even that, if you do that every single day, what's $5 plus one tip for the barista times a week, times 4 or 5 weeks in a month? That really adds up. So you can make really good coffee at home for an affordable price. So definitely cut out coffee and going out to eat in general for some time until you can get yourself back on your feet and save some money. Okay, my next point on this list: have an emergency savings plan. Make sure you have an emergency savings plan. That is one of the biggest mistakes that messed me up. Like I said earlier in this episode, I had already made the bad financial decision of taking out student loans. Even with that being said, I was actually doing pretty well. I had an amazing credit score. I was paying all my bills. I was doing great. Even with all that debt, I was paying the student loan debt on time. The student loan bills on time. It was divided up in a way that I could afford at the time. Once I started having health issues and injuries, and I couldn't work for roughly a year and a half-ish. Around that time span, I couldn't work, at least not nearly as much hours as I used to. I didn't have any emergency savings plan. And for those who are wondering, how much should you save for an emergency savings plan? The recommendation for an emergency savings plan is to have 3 to 4 months worth of what you would need to survive in a month. So for example, when you sit down and you do your budget, if you need $4,000 in a month to pay your bills and have money for food and a little extra just in case, if for you personally that's $4,000, you would need 4,000 times 3 or times 4 if you want that extra buffer of the 4th month to have an emergency savings plan. I didn't do this when I was younger. I basically just lived paycheck to paycheck each month. And in theory, if I never had an emergency, that would have been fine. If I never had those injuries, I was doing well, so I would have been fine. But the thing is, things happen, life happens, car breaks down, people get sick, people get ill, people get injured. And it's when those things happen, if you don't have any type of emergency plan, that's when things get out of control. I remember at that time, I was living on my own when I started having health issues and the injury issues. I was living on my own and I didn't have any money to pay the rent, and I didn't have anybody I could go to get emergency help in my family. So I had to figure out how I was going to pay my rent, and it turned out that I had to take out credit cards in order to pay my bills and my rent. And that can ease once you get in debt and you're in a situation like that, that spirals completely out of control. Because what happens is, it's really messed up. When you're financially down, companies actually take advantage of you. So if you have a poor credit score because of all this debt, companies actually start charging more interest because they know you're desperate. They're like, okay, this happened to me with a laptop a few years ago. I needed a laptop in order to continue doing my YouTube channel because my old laptop broke. I needed a new laptop. Laptops to video edit are very expensive. I didn't have enough money saved, so I couldn't afford to pay one cash outright. So I leased to own a laptop. It was the only thing that I could find. And because of my debt and my poor credit score, they slapped on so much interest on this laptop. I ended up paying like 3 times the amount of this laptop. And that's the crazy situation that you will get yourself into if you're in debt. Like if you need a car and you have a lot of debt and you have a bad credit score, all of a sudden the car company that you lease from or buy from or whatever is going to slap on all these fees. And it's just kind of like I hate to say it because I also I don't believe in being a victim or considering myself. I don't like people who have a victim mentality, but at the same time, there is a reality that once you're down financially, the system is a little bit rigged against you. And even with that being said, I don't believe in staying a victim. There are things you can do to take your control back. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. Those are exactly the things I'm relaying to you guys, that just because the system is rigged doesn't mean you can fight back at the system. And that's where the victim mentality is. I don't do that anymore. I did that when I was younger. It doesn't do any good. Cut the victim mentality and start making actual changes. But emergency plan, extremely important, because things in life will happen. You can't live paycheck to paycheck forever. And when those emergencies happen, you need something to avoid getting into that out of control spiral debt mess situation. Okay. My last point on here is how to manage your car situation. So that is a really, really difficult one these days, because it kind of feels like no matter how you get a car, there isn't a perfect scenario. First thing I will say is, if you're somebody who has a lot of debt, or you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of money and you want to avoid getting into debt, for the love of God, do not get an expensive brand new car. It is a really big waste of money for somebody who is struggling financially. When you think about it, an expensive car really is not a good investment, because the end result of that car is that it dies. Ultimately, it's going to die. It's not going to last forever. You could make the argument that buying a house is a good investment, because you can have this house forever and you can sell the house if you need to. You can give your house to your kids for inheritance so they have financial stability in their future. So something like purchasing a home is a good investment because it's going to last. Purchasing a very expensive car is a very stupid investment, because it isn't physically impossible for your car to last. It is going to eventually die. It might last a good 10 years, but it's going to eventually die. So don't get an expensive car. Don't fall for all the reasons why you need an expensive car, that, oh, it's much safer to get a brand new expensive car. I think cars, I listen to a finance podcaster now, and he said a quote that made me laugh hysterically. He said, I don't remember cars in the 90s just like exploding. You know what I mean? He was like, I don't remember just bombs going off in cars in the like early 2000s and the 90s. So it's like, yeah, don't fall for all these like marketing gimmicks that cars will do. You need this. This is the safest thing. It's the safest technology today. People got around pretty fine in the 90s and the 2000s and whatever technology they had back then. I mean, yes, there are some upgrades on modern cars. Like when you back out, you can see the cameras and you can see if people are near you. Those things do help. But if you drive safely and you do the best you can, I think it's better just to maybe not buy a brand new upgraded car. Now, what car to buy? in my opinion, and this is what my plan is right now, I actually just want to buy a car with cash. And now here's the thing. I did say in the beginning of this point that there is no utopian car situation for somebody who doesn't have a lot of money. I am aware that that is a risk as well, because if you buy a car with cash, like let's say you save up 10 grand cash and you buy the car outright, if you don't buy a brand new car, you do run the risk of having to get that car repaired over and over again, which might have inevitably cost you the same as if you bought a brand new car. But I'm going to quote my dad on this one. And I like this quote, and I think this quote is good for people in my situation. Because I made this argument to my dad a while ago. I said, Dad, I don't want to buy some piece of shit that's going to break. He goes, if it breaks, buy another cheap piece of shit right after it. And I get what he's saying. He's saying that don't get yourself in debt if you can't afford to get yourself in debt. Because here's the thing. Yes, if you take out a loan on a brand new car, that brand new car is going to have a lot more protection in terms of if it breaks down. It's going to probably be able to be covered a lot easier by insurance. It's probably going to break down a lot less frequently. But $20,000 of debt for a brand new car, or even more these days. I don't know how much brand new cars are costing now. It could be even $25,000, $30,000. That's nothing small for somebody who has a lot of financial trouble. You do not want to get yourself in that situation. You're actually better off taking the risk on a cheap car with cash. And if something happens that it breaks, just buy another cheap car with cash in another year. Ideally, if you could get away with no car at all, that would be the ideal situation, because then, and that's really difficult depending on where you live. I would say it would work if you live in a city. Right now I live in Philadelphia, so I don't need a car. I'm actually able to get around. I haven't even Ubered in a long time. It's beautiful right now. I Uber in the winter, unfortunately, but in the spring and in the summer, I walk, I bike, and I take the train. I do everything I have to do that way. Very cheap that way. There are train fees, but locally, like the local subways here and there are very cheap. I live in my section of Philadelphia. There's so much. I walk to the grocery store. I walk to the Planet Fitness. I do everything locally, and I save so much money. I don't have gas. I don't have car insurance. I'm saving a lot of money that way. I am going to be moving to the suburbs with my boyfriend in a few months. He has his own house, and I'm going to be moving in with him. And at that point, it's going to be pretty difficult for me to get around without a car. So I plan to get a vehicle with cash outright. One situation, so the city situation is a situation in which you can get away with not having a car. But if you don't live in a city and you live in the suburbs, ideally, if you can find a way to work from home digitally and not have a car, and in that case, maybe ordering groceries from one of those grocery apps once a week might actually be beneficial if you really stock up. And, there might be like a $20 fee for that one grocery visit. But if you really stock up for a while, you won't need to be making those grocery orders that frequently, and you work from home. That could be a situation in which not having a car is doable. But I would say for people living in the suburbs, it's most likely not going to be doable, because you're not going to be able to go out and visit family and that sort of thing. So the car one is very difficult. It almost feels like there's no perfect situation for a car unless you have a lot of money for a car. But yeah, long story short, I'm not getting myself into some crazy amount of debt on a brand new car. I'm saving up like around $10,000 of cash. And I could potentially buy a certified pre-owned. That might be something that's a smart decision if I don't want to take the risk on a used car from somebody's lot or something like that. But those are the only two things I could see myself doing right now. Buying a used car from somebody that seems trustworthy, and bringing my boyfriend with me to kind of check out the engine, because he used to be an auto mechanic. So he would have a good idea of like what risk I'm taking with what I'm buying, or taking that money and putting it towards a certified pre-owned that isn't going to cost me a whole lot of money in the long run, So car one is very difficult. If anybody listening to this has some advice on the car one, because like I said, it seems like there's just the car situation seems pretty effed no matter what. like, it just seems like there's risks in any one of those things I named. There's risks in having no car, because then you can't really have a life, can't visit friends, can't visit family. There's risk in having a brand new car, and then there's risk in having a used car. It's really difficult, but I'm going to take my bets right now on the $10,000 car with cash. I think that seems like a good deal. And one thing I will say, I should have said in the beginning of this point, is that if you're somebody who feels like they need a fancy car for prestige, that's definitely a sacrifice that needs to be made. I think men have a tendency to want to do this more than women. I can't speak for all women, but I know personally, I don't know a lot of women that need like a muscle sports car type of thing. But from a woman's perspective, to any man listening to this, we don't care that much about cars. I've known plenty of men who have had impressive looking cars, and as a female, we really don't care. We want a nice guy. We just want a guy who's a good guy, guy who takes care of his health, guy who takes care of his physique, a guy who's hardworking, who's loyal, who's dedicated. I could give two shits about what kind of car you drive. I really could. So I feel like if you're doing it for the prestige in your community, to try to get women, to try to impress your friends, I feel like that is a huge mistake. If you're somebody who isn't in a good financial situation, that is a sacrifice that needs to be made. And in the future, if you find yourself in a more fortunate situation in which you have some FU money, you have some play money to buy things that you want, then sure, if you're very passionate about muscle cars or sports cars, in that case, yeah, get a car. But if you're in a situation like me where you have student loan debt, or you're struggling to save money, get a Camry, get an old lady car, get an old lady car from the 90s. Actually, side note, I have one friend who she bought with $5,000 an old lady's car. It has, I don't know exactly which car it is, but it is like one of those, it's not a Buick, but it looks like one of those old lady Buicks, like the way it's designed. And she bought this car for $5,000, and it's been kicking for like a good 5 years. It has no technology in it. It has no GPS. You have to like still roll the windows down. It has it doesn't have even a CD player. It has a deck cassette player. But she's doing great in this car. It's been running great. She's had to make a few small repairs, and she's a musician friend of mine. We drive to gigs together in this car, and I'm like, I need a car like this. Like, I need a $5,000 old lady car that the old lady like got her oil changes and took care of her car, and she lost her license because of her old age, and she has to sell it. Like, I need that car. That's cool. Yeah, if you're in a situation like me, you need like a Camry or an old lady's car. But anyways, those are all my points today. If there's anything you feel I missed that anybody listening has some insight on, that they're like, hey, I've done this and this has saved me a lot of money, please include that in the comment section below. And look at this. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, it was full sun, and now it's not totally dark yet. The sun is still setting, but it's way darker now. It's about 8:07 p.m. So that's pretty cool. You guys got to see the light changes and as the episode went on. But anyone listening too, if you are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit subscribe, because speaking of finances, this podcast is not monetized. I don't have enough subscribers yet to make this podcast monetized. So please hit subscribe. Hit like, leave a comment. That's going to really help me get this out into the algorithm to potentially help me fix my financial situation. You know, I love doing this podcast, and I'm going to continue doing it for free no matter what, because I'm very passionate about it. But it would be cool to start making money off this podcast. So, you know, give a little love there in whatever way you can. Comment, subscribe, like, whatever you got to do. And I also want to shout out that, as I said earlier in this episode, I am a piano teacher. So if anybody is interested in virtual piano lessons, you can hit me up. I have my email and my Instagram and my TikTok below. You can reach out to me on any of those ways, whatever you prefer. And if you're interested, hit me up and I can talk to you about, you know, trial piano lesson to see if virtual lessons is a good fit for you. And that's it. Pranzata Podcast, episode 173. Have a good night, guys. Bye.